everybody, and welcome to video 1 in our fall foliage series. Now, we're using a Victoria Design kit, which of course you can use any fall or winter kit to do this. You don't have to use the same kit. And it's called fall foliage, and that's easier for me to remember that way, so that's what our project is going to be called, even though I have difficulty saying it. So I'm not going to go through the whole kit because they have flip-throughs on their YouTube channel. Okay, I used to go through, but there's 48 pages, and then I don't even have the ephemera printed out. So what we're going to do is I wanted to show you something first. This is page 1. I've left them in order. So this is page number 1. I believe it was like this. And what I did is I printed them out with the border, even though that means I have to trim every single one except for the, no, I have to trim every single one. And the reason I didn't do fit to page, well, I did fit to page, but the reason I didn't do full page, no border, is because it cuts the edge of the picture down. So what would happen is, instead of having this much of the image, it would take a little bit off the edge because it magnifies it up to fill in the image. Okay, so now on these two where they're brown all the way around, that probably wouldn't have mattered. I could have just, you know, cut them off and or not cut them off and had the full-size pages, which is good. We're going to use a manila folder. That would be great. However, on one like this, where the image crosses over the green and goes to the edge, we probably would have lost all of these berries along the edge here. Now, if that's fine with you, you know, that might have been fine with me. Now that I think about that I'm doing a manila folder project, then I might would have given up that little bit just to have to not trim them all, because we would have a little bit bigger paper all the way around by about 1/4 of an inch. Plus mine prints a little bit bigger border on one side than the other. How did that one not get printed on the back? Oh, because I just printed it out as a test. Okay, let's do this one this way. Because, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm trying to keep these in order. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I wrote 3 on this one. Can you see that my printer had a printer error and drew printed lines through there? I don't know if you can see them on camera or not, but they're very apparent in person. There's a pink one, a yellow one, and a, I don't know what color that one is, orange line through the page, and it's on a bunch of them, and it's not every single one. There's no rhyme or reason, so I'm going to have to go through and number every one of the pages, make the check mark on the side that the lines are, which it's all on the right, so it doesn't really matter, and then decide if I want to print that page out again, because we've got 24 pages. Cut them in half is 48. That's plenty of pages for a manila folder project, so I just have to decide if I like the image enough to reprint it. And it looks like on most of them, the right hand side was the side that the more decorative was on, and so I'm probably going to end up printing them out. I haven't done it yet because I've used up all my paper. I think I have 3 pieces of paper left. Well, probably 2 now that I did that one. But I'm going to mark number 2 on this. And then I'm going to make a note on here. Excuse my workroom sweater. It's cold in here this morning. And then I'm going to print back. Make a note to myself so I don't trim it or anything. So I've got that. Then there's also, and I went ahead and cut this one and trimmed it because it was fine. It's page number 1. All the pages are numbered 1 through 24 when you get the kit, so that we could do with the sizing for the folder pieces. Now, back here, these pages are gorgeous. are some of the solid or backing pages. I love that one. I might would have put that one on the back of some if I'd have thought about it. Not that wild about that one, but I went ahead and printed it out anyway. And there's these. Most of this is berries and mushrooms, just so you know, and leaves. So think berry, mushroom, leaf. Fall leaves. Okay, so that's that. On the backs of them, this is the page that comes with the kit, and it's not that dark, so I would have used it on everyone, but then I thought, So I went to a different nature themed one from Victoria Designs and found this backing paper, and I printed this on half of them. So half of them have this darker and half of this, and I realized that most of these I'm going to be gluing down, but I never know what I'm going to be using as a writing paper or a flip up or something, and then I would need to print the back of it. I can't believe I lost my thought right in the middle of that sentence. Okay, so now before we, let me set this up here. Before we talk about the size, you're going to be happy to know that we're going to be doing a lot of inking. I want to make this one look sort of natural looking. So there's two things we can do. Now, one of them might not be reasonable because we are going to be using some smaller pieces on the inside. What happened to my nails? Oh my goodness. We're going to be using some smaller pieces on the inside, and so I don't know if we want to mix stenciling and inking or what. We are definitely going to ink around the edges anyway. So, but let me show you this real quick. Something you can do if you're of a mind to is you can ink the edges. I probably should have started with the other one, but this is gathered twigs. We're going to be using gathered twigs, frayed burlap, and rusty hinge. Now remember, rusty hinge is a little orange, on the orange side of rust, so you just have to keep that in mind. So you're going to smear it around on your glass surface, give it a little bit of a spritz of water, and then you're just going to tap your folder on it, and you see how it looks. Now this has a fold in it, so it's not the best example paper to use, but let's just use this side. Okay. And definitely, the main thing you want to get is the edges. And now we wouldn't do just a small piece like this at a time. That looks pretty cool. You're gonna want to cut it down first, of course. Sorry about that. I forgot to get a piece of paper towel. And then you're going to wipe this off. Of course, you're going to have more than that to ink. So you wouldn't put that much out and then wipe that much off. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so that's your gathered twigs. Let's do the frayed burlap, which is a darker color. Or not. It's a different kind of a color. Let's see if we can get some color on here. And then spray it once. And let's do around the edges on this. Yeah, you can see the different color. Because that's what we would want to do is the edges. See how it kind of makes it look more like a tree or nature. I really like this effect. And we're not going to do anything with them until we have cut them up. So I may do this anyway because I really like it. The only problem I have is getting it consistent all the way around all the folders, which it doesn't need to be consistent, but I mean, like, you know, you see how I'm having trouble getting this one on the edge. I don't know why. Oh, there's a little bit of a lip there. Yeah, it's just not inking on the edge. This one, this part is. What about this edge? There's ridges there, but it should still ink. Got that to ink. There must be something on that. Yeah, there must be something on it or something. That's bizarre. I've never seen it not ink. See, this isn't doing the edge either. So it would only work on your outside edges, it looks like, because the inside, the fold is keeping it from inking all the way. Huh. Alright, well, let's just talk about this part so you can see the color. Now we're going to put down some rusty hinge, and you'll see what I mean about it being a bit orange. Okay, I'll pat that on there. See? But it looks very cool, doesn't it? I just love how that looks. And then you put your paper on over it. So that's why you would only want to do the edges. The only concern I have is this inside edge, where the ink isn't going to come all the way over and your paper's only going to be over that far, and then you'd have an edge that doesn't have anything. So I'm not really sure why. I could do this. I just don't understand why it's not picking up on the edge. Well, get it over a little bit further. Really pressed. There's some that went to the edge. So instead of dabbing it, you have to kind of lay it down and press it. That's better. I really like this around the outside though. Doesn't that look really awesome? So I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do. Let me show you what else we're going to do, or can do, or you can do if you want, whichever way you want to put it. I need to scrape this. I've got some glue on here. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do, oh, let me get that paper towel back, or that I'm going to show you, is stenciling. Now, I was looking for stencils that looked like bark or something in nature, whatever, and I had these ginormous stencils. I accidentally ordered them. I got them from Temu. So always read the size, okay? Because this is an 11 by, is it an 8.5 by 11? No, it's a 7 by 11. Yeah, 7 by 11. You don't want that. Way too big. However, look at this really nifty bark pattern. Let me get a piece of paper here. So if you were doing a really large project and you were able to see the whole thing, because if you were put paper along here, you would just have a big blank area, or, well, a big stenciled area. So this pattern is much too big. if you were going to have a big project or see a big area of it, it would be all right. Okay, now the ones that I've chosen are this one, and then I have this birch bark one, but once again we have the trouble of there's not enough pattern along the edge. It would just look like you had inked little lines up and down. So we probably won't be able to use that one either. Now this one I find interesting. And I think this is the main one that we're going to use. So then, to use these colors, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the edge in gathered twigs. And that's what I'll do the edges of the papers with, is gathered twigs. Because we want to get rid of this white along the edge. And you see this right here. Look how close that is in color. So, anyway. Sad day. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, stenciling. So what we're going to do is, let me grab some other brushes. Let's see. This looks like I used Rusty Hinge on it already. And then the frayed burlap could be any kind of a brown or brownish green. I wrapped this myself. Isn't that funny looking? It's gauze. But it gave me a grip. You know, I used gauze and glue and ink. It was one of the very first things I did a very, very long time ago. It's just a makeup brush. Use it to brush away, you know, when you erase, when you're drawing, you know, and you brush away. Brush away. All right, back to the matter at hand. So we're going to take, the Rusty Hinge is a little bit more overpowering. So let's do it first. Yeah, that is Rusty Hinge on there. Get rid of one of my little Oz hairs. And let's just kind of do, wondering if we should just do like a few spots. And you don't want to ink it every time, because then you're going to have all dark. You want dark, light, whatever. And you're going to have to move it over and try not to overlap. This one, it looks like you can change the directions of the stencil and it won't make any difference. Okay, now let's go back, or obviously we would do the whole thing and then come back and do the other color, and then come back with the first color if and when we need it. Let's do this color. And you can overlap a little, or some, or none, or all. I like the color of the Rusty Hinge. So this doesn't appear to be very dark. We may have to do, there we go. Let's do it a little bit darker down here. I don't know though, I'm not wild about this color when I ink it. We'll have to see. Then we'll overlap some. Okay, it's a little strong, so I would do it the opposite way around then. I would do this first and then do the Rusty Hinge. Okay. Or we could go with a more brown color. I don't know though. Maybe we'll just do the walnut stain. I mean the gathered twigs. Walnut stain would probably be a better color, even though it's really dark. Oh yeah, see, that looks a lot better with the rusty hinge on the top. Okay, so that's probably what we'll do around the edges of this. And then you put your paper on. Wonder. Find another scrap. Cardstock. Thought I had another scrap of manila folder. I've got tons of pieces. But I thought I had. Yeah. In fact, this will work because it looks like a page. It looks like it's a template that I made for something. I think a ring-bound journal. So let's do the edge of the paper so we can get that idea of what it's going to look like. It's going to make it darker around the edge. Not a whole lot. Like I said, walnut stain might be better, but this is the darkest brown that I have. I don't know, maybe I should have done it with rusty hinge. No, I don't think so. You wouldn't be able to see it. Okay. This is the sign you need to keep an eye out for your dauber dropping little pieces. Now this is a fairly new one, so I'm not going to replace it. But it's starting to shed right away, and if you just wipe them off like I just did, you have a chance of leaving ink, an ink smear. There's a little one right there on your paper. Okay, so we've got this inked. So now let's go through. Let's do our darker color first. Try not to do what I did and hit that corner right there where it cuts off the pattern. Doesn't matter in this particular case because we've got the other color that we're coming in with. So we can just cover that. And then do this. I'm wondering if we should do it and not move the stencil. Like do both colors first and then move the stencil. Oh, see, I like that. Okay, so let's not move the stencil, because then it makes the patterns overlap. And I'll show you. Well, that's not bad either. But I do like this look better. So put your stencil down. Do the darker color first. Kind of skip around with it. Now remember, when you're doing this, we're going to be making our own tabs because we're going to have to cut the pieces smaller, so we're going to end up cutting off the natural tabs on the manila folders. So we're going to have to make our own. We're going to trace some and cut them out, and then we're going to leave 1/4 of an inch around the edge of all 4 sides on top of the inch that the tab is going to take on one side. All right, so we're going to have to do some calculations to decide what we're going to do. Let's see how this works without moving it. Yes, much better. Much better. I didn't bring it all the way to the end. I wasn't paying attention. So you got to keep your eye out of where you're going with this frame. But I was just doing it so quick. But I do like that. I like that much better. So that's what I'll do. So that's frayed burlap and rusty hinge. Then we're going to ink the edges of the pages with gathered twigs. Now you can use whatever colors you want, but I'm just letting you know what colors I'm going to be using in this project. Okay, so now what are we going to make? I have no idea. I have no idea. What did I do with the... Now I know I got the paper. There it is. Then once you get done doing that stenciling, in case you go off the edge, you're going to want to wipe this off. So you don't accidentally get ink on the front or the back of, you know, one of these that you don't want to accidentally get anything on. Alright, so there's our samples. We can save these. If we want to make circles, then we can use this scrap to do that. Okay, so just go ahead and set this off somewhere. For goodness sakes. Okay, so we've got these two brushes and this. We're going to have to move that, I'm sure. We don't need our water. And that was just plain water in that mister. Alright, so we've got, I'm going to go with 3 manila folders. And as you can see, we're definitely going to be cutting the tabs off. So we want about this far around. We're just going to make a template this far around, and then on this side we're going to want, how am I going to do that? Maybe we'll just cut the height, then we'll come back with our tab piece, we'll lay it on. Oh, how's that going to work? Yeah, that's 3/8. Okay, let's go up a quarter. That's where we'll put our paper. In a quarter. And we're only going to do this on the template because sometimes it's hard to get pencil off of these. So just don't do it as dark as I did right here. And then we'll put the paper in that corner. I have rusty hinge on me now. I've been hinged. I'm unhinged. That'll be when I take it off. And then 1/4 of an inch up here. Okay, so that'll be that much. Then we'll draw 1/4 of an inch on this. And then we'll lay our template on top of that for the width before we cut it. Yeah, but if we do that, it's going to cut our... How wide is this? I mean, we're not going to be able to use... Like, this center tab one's really big, isn't it? This isn't going to work. And I'll tell you why. Because... Well, it would work as long as we didn't try to replicate this exactly, which is to have one side shorter than the other, because then we would have to flip it over, trim the other side shorter, and then it would be too small for this. However, if we make this bigger, we're already going to make room for the tab, then this side is going to be way too big. Which I don't know why I didn't think about it, but 1/4 of an inch is that first fold line. Anyway. And I don't want to try to glue a tab on or anything. So let's just make this, let's not go by this one. Well, this is a 1/2 inch. So on one side we're going to go 3/4 of an inch bigger. So we can put our tab on. So we're going to cut it here. And then we'll take our tab that we cut off, lay it on here, and trace it so we've got a tab on it. Hopefully that will work. I don't think it's big enough. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. Worst case scenario is we move this in a little bit and you see more of the stenciling. I don't have a problem with that. That'll give us enough room to have the tab and then have a border. And of course now when we stencil, we're going to want to stencil the whole tab and all the way down. You don't want any manila folder area showing. So let's do that. Let's do one. Just for general size. We don't want to cut any tabs out until we've cut the folders. So let me try this one. This is called doing it as you go. Okay, so now see, we've got these tabs. This is the one we're worried about. That's the longest one because it's the center one. So now you're not going to cut on this. That was just to measure how far up, and you're not going to cut on this. Okay, you're only going to cut this one and this outside edge one, because we need the height and we need the width. Okay. Save those. So that looks about right. And we lay this tab on here. We'll put this part right here, this part right here, that little notch, even with this, or we'll put this even with the edge. And we'll draw it like this. Okay, and that'll give us our tab on this particular page. But we're going to cut the other two out, and then this is the center tab, and then we'll have a top and a bottom. They're not going to lay exactly right. So I may put the center tab in the front. Plus it's the largest one. Maybe we could put something on here. A word or, you know, something like that. So that's that one. So let's use this one for size. Let's draw there. Draw there. That's why we didn't cut the tab out, because we need the full width. And we're going to save the tab parts anyway. Use them as belly bands and things like that. Not just templates. Okay. So now here's our end tab for our second one. Now where did I draw the... That looks so crooked. No, it's not. Where did I draw the height? I didn't. It's what's called a guesstimate. Save these. Should have 2. You should have 4 tabs. Okay, this is our end tab. Let's draw that on. And remember, we're only going to cut this out on one side, so don't leave them folded together when you cut the tab off. Okay. We'll make the height. So here's the opposite side of the center one. Here's the opposite side of that one. And we can use these. I'm not going to cut the other sides of them, the other side of the page. Okay. Here's our tab to trace. Here's our extra tab. Here's our little flap. Take this one. It's funny, this was a used manila folder anyway. Had writing on it that I erased, but it never came off all the way, really. Probably shouldn't have drawn that on that dark, but I think I'm going to, yeah, then we'll want to, and make sure to save these. So now let's take a look. We should have a center, a top, and a bottom. Which, you know what? If we don't cut it off both, then you won't see it because the back piece will look just like this and it will fill it in. We know this is wide enough for the paper, don't we? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to cut both sides, both thicknesses to this. Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I am. I changed my mind. That way you'll see the tabs. Otherwise, the tabs will get lost in the center. You'll see them in the center, but yeah, I think so. I've made a decision, whether it's one I like or not. Then I may end up making new ones. Okay, so then we're just going to take our scissors. This part you're going to want to try to do the curve. This part up here you can redo the curve with your, go ahead and cut a little rounded area there. Your corner chomper. You like how I did that to try to think? I'm like a little 2-year-old. So then we'll go like this. I really like that inking idea. I think it looks so much cooler. Okay, so there's one. And it's going to be like that on both. That's all right. I can live with that. What about you guys? And papers are going to come up into here. This one. That way the whole book will be tabbed. Didn't round that very well. Now this one, instead of leaving it square, goodness sakes, what happened there? Then I will use my corner rounder to trim it, just like this one as well. It was because the tab, the part that notches naturally like this one did, that little notch, was too far away. So there's that one. Let's do this one. And this one's going to have the little notch, but we still need to round the other end. Okay. Wasn't so bad. and use the 1/2 inch. That looks kind of neat. Thinking I'm going to do it on this corner anyway so that they all look the same. That they all have a notched end and a rounded end. Oopsie. Can't get this one in there. And this will give us that same rounded corner as the other two have. Close enough. Then go back, erase off any of your pencil. Hopefully it comes off and that you didn't do it too dark. Then we're going to have our 3 main folders. Now, like I said about winging it, let's check both sides. Well, that was nifty. Drop your pencil right on it. Oops. Okay. No, I think we can get away with... Well, see, then we're going to lose this one altogether. No, we won't. It's going to be like that no matter how we do it, isn't it? Maybe not. If we put the center one first. Yeah, that'll be better. We'll put the center one first. Then you're going to want to ink, ink, color, stencil, any combination thereof around all the edges. The outside edges, the inside edges, the inside center, the back, on all 3. Even though we'll be gluing some of them together, or all of them together, and making pockets, when you look in your pocket, you'll have the same edge. I'm putting this down before I accidentally draw on it again. You'll have that same edge all the way around. Now, since we cut this, we should be able to get all 3 sides if we wanted to do that inking. And then, not sure how I would get the other side though. I may stencil just because I know how to get it done, and yeah. Now with these, the longest we're going to want them is the width of this shorter side, not the tab, but the shorter side. So let's mark these. And I'm not sure what we're going to use them for, if we're going to use all of them or what. I had an idea. So we'll see if I can figure out a way to do it. We're going to, whoopsie. Make sure you're not cutting off the flap. So keep your eye out for the lines. So this is the longest we're going to want it. So I'm going to want you to do the same thing around all the edges on these. Cut them off. And, well, never mind, that's not going to work either. I think I'm going to stencil, even though I really like the other. If we were using paper and not manila folder, then I think I would use the daubing, the ink, you know, the daubing method with the water, because I would know that I could get it to work all the way around. Not being able to get it to work on this end, where it's thicker, is a deal breaker for me. I definitely don't want that. See, you can still see that a little bit. Good thing we're stenciling over it. I made that one a little too dark. So I'm going to stencil mine. So let's do those. Then let's take our 3 main ones. Well, I like to use these as belly bands and such, pockets. So I think I'm going to stencil these, but being belly bands and pockets means that you only have to do one side. That's up to you. If you want to do one side, both sides, neither side. This one I can't use. It's got writing on it. I can use this part. I'm going to throw away this top part right now, so I don't accidentally use it. Now I can use it this way though, can't I? So much for that brilliant brain. But this is a good size for a pocket. Okay, so let's just get inking and stenciling and doing all that. Don't forget to do your edges with gathered twigs. This will take me a while. I have rotator cuff problems and doing that stenciling and holding it down. So it's going to take me a little while to get all this done. You can do any or all of this. You don't have to do, you know, any of the extra pieces. I'm just doing them because I'd like to try to use them and do something a little different. I'm thinking some sort of a kind of a waterfall type thing on the inside. And then I would make these different lengths, I think. So I think I'll probably do that ahead of time because I don't want to stencil and do all that and then turn around and cut it off. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So these 3 are the end pieces off of the manila folders. So, and we cut the width. So you already know that when you stack them, you're going to get 1. You should get close to 1. Yeah. So in order to do what I'm thinking in the center of one of these folders, I think what we'll do is let's take 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and 2 inches off the length of just the top. No, the top, but both layers. Okay, 1/2 inch, 1, 1.5. Let's do that. 1/2 inch, 1, 1.5. 1/2 inch. Let me just do it. Half an inch. I just stepped on the edge of my slipper and just stepped out of my slipper. 1 inch. And then 1.5. So then ink and stencil and do whatever you're going to do with those. Do this one as a pocket. Go ahead and do this one. We can use it as a long pocket. Do these, and I would do the whole thing because we don't know how wide of a belly band we're going to need. Okay, so that's your job. And then we will come back in video 2 and we will start deciding how we're going to put this together. And I may need get another folder out. I've gotten 2 more bigger pieces out like this too that I'll probably do just in case. And I want to do something different with this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, as you can tell. And so we'll look into that in the second one. You may not want to craft along. You may want to wait and see how I end up doing it before we start papering it and stuff. Just so you don't cut pieces and everything out of your manila folders. I buy them 100 at a time, legal sized, and then smaller ones. Let me give you a tip on buying manila folders on Amazon. When you're looking at the page, let's say this is the web page, okay? Pictures over here, descriptions here, buy now button is here. Right underneath that, it will say if there's any used or any from any other sellers, so that you can check and see if there's any cheaper prices. Click that link, and if it opens up and there's some Amazon warehouse ones. Now I got a box of 100 legal sized manila folders for 78 cents because the box was damaged. So I bought 3 of them. Now, if I had a place to put them, I would have bought more. I would have had a lifetime supply of manila folders. I'd rather have the legal sized because they don't say Amazon or, you know, Basics, Amazon Basics or whatever it is on the inside. But anyway, that's how you do it. You look over there and see, and if it says right there, starting from, you know, $1 from other sellers or 78 cents from other sellers, then click that link and make sure it's from Amazon Warehouse, all right? And then click that link and buy them for that really super cheap price. Okay, that's my tip on buying manila folders. Okay, all right, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video, and that will be just a second for you and a day, maybe 2 for me. Okay, bye-bye.